the thing is, this being their first export, I guess you could say, they really did not account for the screen size at all because there's a lot of things where your mobility is screwed. More on that later. And even though a lot of things should be a lot smaller in scale, they aren't. For example, for some reason, you refight Surgus in this game. This battle does not account for the new size at all because there's less mobility. His his energy blasts are the same size as they are in X2. They were not scaled down at all, so they're really hard to dodge. And his hitbox is obnoxiously tiny in this game, like superbly so.
You're gonna hate me when I play it.
Yeah, probably. Uh,
Now, I hate playing devil's advocate,
what?
but honestly, if they had made X's sprite any smaller, he'd look distorted.
Well, then why didn't they make certain obstacles bigger? Like, for example, again in the Surges battle, there are only two platforms. Now, that in itself is not terrible, but
But they're thin.
exactly. In fact, you can get pushed off them, not even getting hit by anything. Even if you only have 1 foot on the platform, because of the way they move so close to each other, you can just fall at any given time, and you're dead.
See, now that's an oversight.
Like, it's bullshit, is what it is.
I can see where the limitations come into play. There are places I could have touched up, though.
Uh, that said, all of the music is just remix tracks from X1 and X2. Uh, and this game has a little twist. There's normal mode, which includes Chill Penguin, Spark Mandrill, Storm Eagle, and Flame Stag. And then you move automatically to the final stages, and throughout the game, you fight Zane, the Gold Knight looking guy. Hard
P.S.
mode. Hmm.
Zane sucks.
Yeah, he dies in like 4 shots from shotgun ice. Uh, uh, next, and then after you beat that, there's hard mode, which actually is a continuation of the story. And you move on to fight Wheelgator, Magna Centipede, Morph Moth, and Armored Armadillo. Speaking of which, Rolling Shield is really ridiculously awesome in this game. Like, for real.
Well, on bosses.
uh, not, and again, it actually does continue the story. And here's where things get interesting. In normal mode, you can get 4 of the heart tanks, and you can also get all of your armor upgrades.
And a
As
sub-tank.
2 sub tanks, actually.
Yeah, because there's 4 and that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, so here's the thing though. When you move on to hard mode, you can carry over your normal mode stuff because in normal mode you can also get the Shoryuken and Hadouken, which are ridiculously overpowered in this game. Uh, which this actually makes hard mode a joke, like completely.
Wait, hold on.
Hmm.
You can't get the Hadouken from normal mode? Because
Yeah,
it's...
you can because I did it.
You sure? Because... Hold on.
Yeah,
Okay, no. I had it wrong. That's hidden in Sigma Stage 2, I think. They changed it from Armored Armadillo's area.
yeah.
Okay.
Uh, because now you actually get an armor part and or
Yeah,
rather,
it...
you get a zero capsule in Armored Armadillo. Speaking of which, that's a thing they in hard mode does. In each stage, instead of an armor capsule, you get this new thing called a zero capsule, where you can summon zero to do an attack. Every single attack is worthless except for one of them.
Well, I would argue that Geyser at least has its moments.
Thing is, what here's the thing: the zero capsules are really disappointing because, I mean, it's cool, but really there's no reason to use them ever because there's nothing in the game where you're like, oh crap, I'm surrounded, or oh god, there's this really annoying flying enemy, or anything like that. Really, the only time it comes into play is during the Zero Final capsule,
Which is
in which
beautiful.
is just there if you want to like cheap out a boss,
Well, yes and no. It does like a third of their health in one hit.
or if you use it on the friggin' stupid ass spider boss like I did, it takes out half his health.
Well, that's because Zero's a badass.
Like,
But it does have its own energy gauge, so it's basically your stand-in for the Giga Crush you don't get.
pretty much. Although in universe, it doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Well, remember that it's pure data that Light's allowing you to do.
Hmm.
So, maybe Light just programmed him as a virus that would shred any enemy. It's like
Mm,
when Zero hits them, he erases their data,
mm,
which makes sense at least because he's physically out in the real world. You can't just digitize him for half a second while he's on mission.
yeah. Uh, but yeah, hard mode actually is a continuation of the story. You fight Gimmel during it, and then you finish off Sigma for good. Uh, more on
Freaking
that later.
Gimmel.
Yeah, more on that later. Arguably, he's more pathetic than Zane is.
Yeah, he is. Like,
Uh,
what's with this flying carpet?
uh, and then after you beat that, there's extreme mode, which is what I argue the game should have been in the first place. Basically, they just slap both modes together into one, make enemies slightly tougher to the point where it's not even really noticeable. And you fight both Zane and Gimmel. How unfortunately, there's no story sequences for whatever reason. Uh, so okay, story level. You go through your stages. You find out that, oh, it was Sigma the entire time. Surprise, surprise. And then you have to fight